I'm Margarita Georgiadis, and welcome to my studio in Gunning. The 39th Greek Festival of Sydney is commemorating 200 years of the Greek War of Independence, and I'm honoured to have been invited alongside artist Philip George to produce artworks based on this theme. Researching historical events for this project, I was immediately inspired by the story of the Dance of Zolongo, a story my father used to tell my sisters and I when we were children. The story originates in Souli, a small mountainous district in northwestern Greece, in Epidu. Its inhabitants, the Souliotes, who lived in fort-like villages in the mountains, remained independent during most of the occupation of Greece by the Ottoman Turks. They fought successfully from 1790 to 1802 against Ali Pasha, the Turkish governor of Ioannina. In 1803, however, Ali Pasha massacred many of them after concluding a false truce. During the Souliote War in December 1803, the Souliotes began evacuating Souli after their defeat by the forces of the Ottoman ruler, Ali Pasha. During the evacuation, a group of around 60 Souliote women and their children were trapped by Ali's troops in the mountains of Zalongo. In order to avoid enslavement, rape and murder, the women threw their children first and then themselves off a steep cliff, committing suicide. According to legend, they jumped off the precipice one after the other while singing and dancing. Despite the fact that some historians doubt whether there was an actual dance and song, the self-sacrifice of the Souli women in order not to fall into the cruel hands of the Ottomans is indisputable. The Dance of Zolongo is a popular traditional Greek folk song and dance dedicated to the women of Souli, which is sung and danced throughout Greece to this day. Dance expresses the unity of love and death, one of the deepest existential paradoxes. The tragic incident soon became known across Europe and inspired many artists, writers and musicians. At the Paris Salon in 1827, the French artist Scheffer exhibited two romantic paintings, one of which was entitled Les Femmes Souliotes. I began my body of work by referencing and reappropriating this exact painting in order to find an anchor to inspire subsequent works in the series. Ari Scheffer's painting is quite romantic and gentle. The women are portrayed as scared, helpless, praying and in despair. There's no imagery of them jumping off the cliff with their children, nor of their bravery and defiance. I wanted to focus my paintings on that single act of jumping and falling to their death in order to gain freedom. I wanted to paint their moment of descent, how it must have felt to experience such a final release of life by choice and circumstance. I also wanted to make my depictions of these women contemporary, which I hope gives the story a greater sense of relevance and gravitas. It was the act of suicide in this manner that struck me. I wanted to focus on that, figuratively alluding to this freedom from persecution via suicide. I also wanted to draw attention to the physical reality of falling, how this act visually and metaphorically represents a duality of both freedom and death, or freedom as death, and how the image of falling is so closely aligned with dance. This legend is said to have been the catalyst for the revolution and revival of Greece itself, so the symbolism of women leaping into the abyss is loaded with meaning. Farewell, poor world, farewell, sweet life, and you, my poor country, farewell forever. Farewell, springs, valleys, mountains and hills. Farewell, springs, and you, women of Souli. The fish cannot live on the land, nor the flower on the sand, and the women of Souli cannot live without freedom. Farewell, springs, valleys, mountains and hills. Farewell, springs, and you, women of Souli. The women of Souli have not only learnt how to survive, they also know how to die, not to tolerate slavery.